Not only that, 18 eliminations. I mean, ever since game one, they have been playing highly aggressive. Nothing new for Sharkantini. With that extra confidence from knowing that you're, already qualified through consistency, they are just disrupting every person that crosses their path with the amount of aggression that we're seeing from these two players. So I'm sure it's going to be nothing different in this last game, but hopefully we'll see them win it. That would kind of perfectly clean up their day today.
Well, it's interesting actually, because it's like, when these guys are still in the lobby, it's like, if you're a team that needs a win to go up for height, it's like, do we actually want to risk going up for height? Because we'll have to go up against Sharkantini. It's like, maybe the teams that are now further down don't play for height. Maybe they play for those sort of low ground sections, because Sharkantini still being in the lobby is still a force. It's so difficult.
Well, Syaz and Scary, they've also been challenging for height. Not really with the blistering success of Sharkantini, given that Sharkantini are the ones who tend to knock them off it to Carter. But it's been a fantastic night for these guys, and they have been consistent to the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going well. Second place, you can't be mad with that at all, especially with, how early they have gone on in some of these matches. But being able to close out with, what you have, you can see Syaz 0 mats. Scary still is able to clutch up a bit of points. Now, we've seen a lot more talks about these players recently. They're kind of more new in the high end of these leaderboards, so I love to see them consistently placing. As a reminder, 5 FNCS finals appearances. Some of these other players in the lobby have more than 40, so great job from Syaz and Scary.
Yeah, the new blood from Spain is impressing, Mini Miner.
Yeah, it is. I'm sort of half impressed by these guys today, but also I can't help but think I'm a little bit disappointed, right? These guys were on height 2 times. They went down in ways that I don't really think they should be. We sort of bigged them up at the beginning of the day. They went down to a team that was I think it was actually Sharkantini earlier on in game 1, wasn't it, where they lost the height. So it was like, they need to get better at that.
Yeah, but let's face it. Look, they're on a leaderboard. They're in a lobby right now with Swizzy and Pixie. This is a team that should absolutely be doing better in terms of consistency. They went out at the start of the end game in that last game. So I want to give Sias and Scary props because I think we're seeing development in this duo across the season so far. They have the momentum. Let's see if they can snowball all the way to a top placement in the grand finals next weekend. But let's take a look at page 2 now. Now, I want to look at the top 14 here, guys watching at home, because remember, 10 duos go through on consistency. Page 1, we've also got the duos that are already qualified by VRs. So there you can see Wox and Kuro, they're on the cusp, and so... right now. Let's head into game 5 with 11 and 10.
The one silver lining, though, for a team like Chino and Pablo is knowing that there is that last chance lobby right around the corner, but more importantly still, that they are already qualified for Belgium. So that's the real grand prize that's on the line for this Major 2 finals. But obviously, players with such stature would much rather find themselves secured and acquiring that qual spot early on here in their heat.
If they don't make it through today, and I message Chino,
deciding instead, we'll just opt to go a little bit further north, venture into Latte Landing, and see whether or not we can edge our bets even better over here in this direction, because clearly, even after winning the off spawn, it wasn't necessarily paying out huge dividends, and they need to get some form of momentum, whatever it takes to be the catalyst to their game plan, even if it's going for a surprise contest. Teams further north, any tiny little advantage. This is where it's essentially the last stop before the last stop of the last chance lobby.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right, for Kidua and Prax. The decision making was clear. We are way down in the standings. The only hope for us to get out of this heat is through a win. We need to secure and guarantee ourselves surviving off spawn. And like we talked about earlier, Taco,
part of the problem is just that so many other teams have decided to sort of step up to the plate. Anytime they hear action, it just looks like, you know, it's like piranhas swarming to an area. Everyone just...
Fighting and chaos going on over at Wave, and that affected how people rotate through the southern area.
Skrill and Scrap though. This is not going to be easy for either of these duos. Scrap though, he's taking a little bit too much damage. We forced to fall back with Matisse, also incredibly injured. This will cause for a lull in the action here between these two teams, but Skrill, Scrap, they know that they're working against the clock here in this final lobby, because everyone is going to start to become much more aggressive, much more reckless. Fox, not the only ones either. Swizzy and Pixie also trying to see where they can pull things out in the final hour against Six and Words.
Mumsy and Skyjump, another team I think. So that it's much less a chance. Their fate's kind of in their own control. Now it's just about whether or not they can solidify things with the Victory Royale to end the day. Might also do a pretty big favor to other teams in the lobby here, but Sharktini, they're not looking to do anyone a favor. They are just
going fully on tour in this lobby. 4 eliminations already, 3 of them being on.
Aggression on, you might just end with that type of a lead. Okay, the fighting continues, and this is a fight against a team that cannot allow this to happen. Skydump and Mumsy sat on that threshold going into this game, were just behind it, and just like that,
Definitely not going to be happy with that one, but we have seen them bounce back in those last chance environments in the past, so potentially able to do it yet again, but that's the future. Right here, right now, trying to gauge whether or not some other teams might be able to join those who have already qualified via Victory Royales on the Major 2 Grand Finals Battle Bus. Sharkantini, though, you would think that there would be some point that they might choose to slow down, but no. Even just looking at the lobby currently, is seeing maybe second.
Get taken out by the players in the rush. We'll pause their rotation for the meantime.
And that's the thing, I was just about to say, they're just hovering, they're teeter-tottering, that fine line between just making it in and just being out. And it's so difficult to actually... elimination. They don't care. They are headed wherever they feel like the fight is at because they refuse to bud and give way. Another elimination here for Shark.
And with that 9th elim, they now have the most elims in the heats of anybody so far this year. The most we saw was 48 from Pete and Boyd. Playing to keep the dream and the hopes alive. There's quite a few names left in this lobby, Taco, who this game will mean so much to. Whether that's because they're currently in that top 10 most consistent, or whether they're a team like Reason and Khan, who is frankly nowhere near top 10 in consistency, and so
favors this game, and for Swizzy, Shark, and Teeny, just gonna put him in the dirt.